I'm Alex.
I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
And this is the Ragamuffin Music Podcast, a place for us to talk about the music we love. Every month we get together, talk about the latest news, music and trends in the world of alternative music.
On this episode, we'll be reviewing the new albums from State Champs and Upon a Burning Body, as well as new singles from Straight from the Path, Lorna Shore, and the long-awaited comeback from My Chemical Romance.
And we're answering some questions from Jonathan and Frakes.
I can't wait for that.
But first, let's look at some news. Starting things off, Azalea Dying have parted ways with bassist and clean vocalist Josh Gilbert, with both parties putting out statements of Josh wanting to pursue other musical opportunities, but there are no negative feelings from either side. He was a very key part in their sound, so it'll be interesting to see how this changes moving forward. I know they've got Ryan from Miss May I filling in on an upcoming tour, who, again, has a really unique, clean vocal sound, so it'll be really cool to hopefully see a bit of live footage and see how that sounds.
And then I think they've got someone to fill in Nick's empty spot on guitar as well, which, again, that's sad they've left. He's left.
The guitarist from, I think, Unearth. I can't remember his name,
so.
But I think the styles are quite similar, so he should fit in pretty easily.
Sad. In happier news, Sid Wilson and Kelly Osbourne are expecting their first child, so not a lot else to say apart from a massive congratulations to the couple for that.
And sticking with baby news, the baby was born during the performance of Enter Sandman at a Metallica concert in Brazil at the beginning of May. The baby's mother went into labour 3 songs before the set was due to end, with both baby and mother healthy after the birth. Even James Hetfield gave the new family a call once he heard the news to congratulate them. What a way to be born.
It's probably the best song to be born to.
Yeah, to have
live
that
as well. Yeah,
that's a great story to grow up and be like, oh, do you have any good stories of when you were younger? And be like, I was born to Enter Sandman live.
Well, it should be called Sandman.
The
really.
Sandman, yeah. Some more Metallica news. James Hetfield recently showed some vulnerability and honesty on stage in Brazil, where he addressed the crowd and spoke about insecurities and feeling like he's too old to be doing what he's doing. His bandmates responded in a great big group hug and a show of support for Hetfield. And I think it's just good for people like James Hetfield, probably one of the greatest frontmen, especially in heavy music, but probably of all time, to even at the stage in their career they're at still, feel that insecurity and show that to his fans. And yeah, I think it's inspiring and reassuring for people who might be feeling the same way, not necessarily in music, but in whatever they're doing. So,
well, I mean, if he can show that kind of vulnerability in front of thousands and thousands of people and his bandmates, then it should be easy for someone else to speak out to just their mates, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So, big love to James Hetfield.
Very much so. Corey Taylor has launched the Taylor Foundation, a non-profit that exists to assist military members and first responders affected by post-traumatic stress disorder. It's currently got a sweepstakes that you can enter to win a chance to fly from anywhere to London to see one of his sold-out shows at the London Palladium this October and get VIP treatment. You even get to go and have a coffee at him at his favourite coffee shop in London. So all you have to do to enter that sweepstakes is make a lovely donation at fandium.com/sweeps/Corey Taylor to be in with a chance to win that and support a very, very good cause.
Lovely.
And in neck deep news, founding drummer Danny Abassi has announced his departure from the band to explore other musical options, with the band posting about it on the main accounts and personal accounts of how much they've enjoyed their time with him, being a part of the band and growing up together from the start.
Shame. Yeah, phenomenal drummer, isn't he?
I was really looking forward to that at Slam Dunk as well, and knowing that he's not going to be there was a very sad note, but I will still be very much looking forward to their set.
And that leaves us with just 2 members from sort of the OG lineup now, being West and Ben, so weird.
Mad. Finally, we saw the discontinuation of the iPod very recently, with the final 7th generation iPod Touch no longer in production, bringing a close to 21 years of a portable media player that changed the way I think many people just listen to music. So that makes me feel really, really old.
Yeah, really old.
And that's worrying.
God. It's a shame because people are never going to know. I mean, people sort of, it is redundant in a way. You sort of
you've got
can have it all on your phone now, but it's definitely a generational thing to download stuff, especially the sort of YouTube to MP3 player, paste in your own artwork, sort of
make it legit.
Your own admin.
I remember spending hours just renaming tracks and pasting in artwork and stuff.
What a shame.
Good
End of an
times.
era.
Kids of nowadays will never know that struggle.
Yeah. And that's the news. Should we talk about last episode's recommendations?
No.
James, you recommended a Stone Cold classic.
I did. I recommended American Idiot by Green Day. I mean,
There's not much to say, really.
You both
is there?
know it.
It's an iconic album full of bangers. You can hear it and hear so many influences from modern day bands. And to be fair, it's aged really well. Like some of these songs, I think could be released now, and I'd enjoy them as much as I do, knowing that they're classics.
They really just hold the test of time, and that's something from an album that's what now, like 18 years old. 'Cause it was 2004. I remember that coming out. That 18 years later, it still sounds like they're fresh, they're enjoyable, it's fun, it's great songwriting for them to last that long. I think is quite a testament to the band.
Yeah, one thing I liked about it was that on Spotify, it coupled up a lot of the songs. So Holiday and Boulevard of Broken Dreams are in one song. Are We the Waiting St. Jimmy? I think things like that are just cool because it sort of reinforces the album experience, which for an album like this, where it's like a loose sort of concept, isn't it?
It is, yeah. That's the thing people forget, is that it is a concept album and there is a storyline behind that, and it's easy to miss sometimes if you don't know about it as well.
Yeah, I just thought that was a really cool little thing to sort of, just reinforce the album as a whole, because it's one of the best. Yeah. Dan, what did you recommend?
I recommended The Wonder Years, Suburbia, I've Given You All, and Now I'm Nothing.
It was great. What was the one you recommended previously? It was Greatest Generation.
That was Greatest Generation.
I think I maybe prefer this one slightly. I don't know. It was sort of one of those things that I can't quite put my finger on why, but I just think it was just connected to me a little bit better. I think I just probably need to give it some more listens before they're set at Slam Dunk, because I was a bit on the fence about whether or not I was going.
That's mainly why I recommended it. Just to kind of
now that I've
either
listened
convince
to
you guys to go to the set or so you could have an opportunity to revise.
Yeah, now that I've heard it, I'm dead set on being at that set, so I just need to give it a bit more. But also, I mean, it opens with one of the best pop punk album openers.
That's what I'm really excited for with Slam Dunk. They often close on Came Out Swinging, but to open with it is just going to be a huge energy burst.
Come out swinging from.
Do you think they'll play any other big hits? Just ever like?
I don't know. They only seem to have like a 45-minute set.
Yeah.
So I mean, the album's runtime is about 40 minutes. So
Not
maybe they'll sneak a new single in there or something.
Maybe, but great band, great vocalist.
No, I really enjoyed it as well, and I think I enjoyed it more than Greatest Generation as well. The production and mix, I think, is something that the more that I've been exposed to them as a band, that I've enjoyed so much, and it just sounds so nice, so crisp. So just great songwriting throughout the whole thing, and lyrics that really, I think, have you like listening intently, and just easy listening in general.
I've always liked how on that album and the one before it, they're kind of telling the story of their adolescence in a way.
You can kind of feel that as well.
You can relate to it, even though they sing about really specific things, like being in a diner, for example, like a specific diner at a specific place and specific events happening. You can kind of still relate to it and picture you and your own friends there.
Yeah, I can see that, and like the whole album kind of as that just flowed as well, and like just had nice pacing, and like Giving You All was like a nice breather in the middle, like not in the middle, but towards the latter half of it, before those like last few tunes, that kind of just helped break up slightly and just breathable kind of in terms of a whole like digestion of an album. Local Man Ruins Everything and My Life as a Pigeon were favourites for me. They really stood out, and some phenomenal song names as well, and an album that I'm definitely gonna have to revisit more as well. And who do they clash with at Slam Dunk? Because I've kind of set out my route and they weren't involved, and now I'm having to think a little bit.
No one that I want to see, I don't think.
Okay.
Either that or I was so dead set on the Wonder Years that I didn't look at who else they were with.
I'm going to have to very seriously look at my Slam Dunk.
I'm finding it.
But I think because I had previously set out what my path was going to be, and I've kind of got a rough idea. And then off the back of this, knowing this is going to get played in full.
They start 10 minutes before the end of Mum Jeans, and they start immediately at the end of Amity Affliction's set. So it might be maybe a case of leaving Amity a couple of minutes early to get there.
Go into this.
Or if you are at Mum Jeans, leaving Mum Jeans as soon as it's done to get to this one. Whichever. Or,
just go vibe to it anyway.
Yeah.
I think Mum Jeans might be on the stage closer, so it might be there.
Yeah, Mum Jeans is going to be a good vibe anyway. So,
Alex.
Yes.
Your recommendation.
I recommended Internal Incarceration by Year of the Knife. in anticipation of their set at Outbreak.
I mean, I only had the one chance to listen to it in full, and you were there. And, man, the riffage, incredible.
Slaps, doesn't it?
Enjoyed every single song. It makes you want to give it so many more listens, and I think immediately, just off that one album listen, I am really, really wanted to see them at Outbreak. There wasn't a song on the album I didn't enjoy. I mean, there were some standouts, Get It Out, Stay Away, and the title track I think stood out the most. But the whole thing was just such a great, easy listen for something that's so heavy, which is a weird one to say, but I absolutely loved it from start to finish. And as every new track came on, there was something in there that just grabbed me straight away. And that's not an easy thing to do with an album, to have that consistent from start to finish. So I really loved this.
So straight away, the album artwork is sick.
Yes.
And so is the music. I really loved the sound of the sort of distortion on the bass. Thought that was really cool running throughout the album. Also enjoyed all the tempo changes and some of the odd time signatures, most effectively on Final Tears. And I always love transitions between tracks. My favourite on this one being going from Sick Statistic into Eviction.
Yeah, really cool.
I think 30 minutes runtime for the album was about right. I think any longer and it could have got a little bit samey and draining.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about Outbreak is probably going to be having 2 or 3 recognisable songs for each band that we plan on seeing, because it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint, to try and pit through that weekend. So, yeah, I think picking out some like chosen favourites, from this album was sort of my intention, so that when we hear it live, you guys can go straight into the pit.
I think I might for this. That could be something that I do. So yeah, very enjoyable.
Nice. Should we move on to the latest releases then?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we got a brand new tune from Death Havana, On the Wire. What do you make of it?
This is my first time ever listening to Death Havana, which, I don't know, it seems odd because they've been around for so long, but I just sort of never seem to have, not bothered because it sounds like I'm being lazy, but just never seem to have found a chance to listen to them. But I thought it was cool. I liked it. I didn't really know what I was expecting because I didn't know at all like where they were on the sort of heavy to light spectrum. But considering what the rest of our reviews were like, it was a nice sort of change actually to have something that was that was so strong, had such strong melodies and such a big chorus. Yeah, I just thought it was a really cool song. And am I right in thinking it's now only 2 members in the band?
Yeah, there's only James and his brother Matt that are still going now.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but it's great that they're still inspired to keep writing music and keep putting out some good stuff.
Do you feel as... I'm assuming you've listened to them before.
Oh, yeah. I'm quite a big Death Havana fan.
Okay. So is this like a similar stylistically to what they've done before?
They've kind of had a bit of a journey and a progression. This is quite similar to what they've put out on their previous album, in terms of it being quite poppy, quite radio friendly. I'd say this is more on the radio friendly side of things. It's definitely a single and very simple in terms of song structure as well, I found, but really, really nice. I especially loved the bridge section where James's vocals really, he really had a chance to kind of project them. And the choir adds a bit of like a gospel feeling as well, which reinforces those vocals as well.
I love a choir, love a background choir.
I mean, yeah, I really enjoyed this as well. It was just a really nice vocal-centric song with like lovely harmony sections that were just so pleasing to listen to. And it sounds just very well produced and very well thought out. Love the bass line in the intro and the verses. It just pops through nicely in the mix. And yeah, it just a nice, easy listen, like you say, compared to everything else we've got in this. It was very, very refreshing. Like, it's not necessarily anything I'd always necessarily go to, but like taking like kind of that appreciation for it, like the songwriting, the structure was lovely. Like I said, the production was amazing, and I can really just appreciate and recognize how pleasant a listen it was, and yeah, really, really catchy as well. So yeah, good tune.
I'll have to play you guys like some old Death Havana and some new Death, and like so you can compare it to this and see kind of how much it changed in the evolution.
I'll be intrigued.
Moving on, we got Further Proof, If Proof Be Needed, that Straight from the Path are one of the sickest bands of the year, with 3. It's just so cool, isn't it?
Keep thinking they're not going to build up my hype for the new album anymore, and then it just goes even higher.
Yeah.
As a song, like the intro gets me every time. Like seeing the reference that they put on like social media about it being the Barney the Dinosaur
I was
original
say,
clip.
if you read that, yeah.
I saw them put that up, and that it made me laugh so much. Food. We'll do this one and then grab it. There's like groovy riffs from the start, and it's like a nice pairing in the instrumental section that I feel like clicks so well. Like especially between like Tom and Craig's drum parts, and like the back and forth they have, you can tell is so tight. And how they, it said before, like how they write the song together. It's so evident, I think, that they really think of the song structure in that. Drew's performance is incredible. The opening line of part 3, because Fuck 1 2 has been in my head ever since I first heard it, and I find myself at work just kind of singing it around in my head. It's a killer tune.
I think that's the thing about these 2 songs that's stood out the most is how good and strong the choruses are.
Yeah.
Especially the way that Drew's delivering it. Because like this one is like, I don't know, it just sounds like pure fury coming down on you, like, but it's also catchy as well, and it bops as well. I think it's been some of Drew's best vocal performances, definitely, and lyrically as well. I think with this part 1 and 2 being so big in their catalogue, you have to have some confidence in this song to follow through on adding to the saga, and I think it follows up, especially part 2, really well. Yeah, what do you think, Dan?
I really liked the way how they made it feel like nothing's changed since part 2. Like there's kind of a lethargic feel to the way Drew announces part 3. It's kind of like
a tiring of it.
We're doing this again because nothing's changed, and we still have to talk about this. And then there's like the sluggish riff going along with it, the slug chug, if you will. Yeah, it's like they're fed up about talking about cops being dicks and how they have to just keep doing it again and again. And then it switches up to the blast beat section. Is like,
oh man,
it's like the cop character that Drew's playing in the video is just snapped and is just like they're saying the lyrics, killing without question.
And like you said, that video, they must have had so much fun filming that, because it just, every time I watch it, it makes me laugh. I watched this when they dropped it on the stream on Twitch, and like the fan response was amazing. They played like 2 or 3 times through. They played like the full album tease that they've got for Euthanasia coming out in September, and that was incredible. I think this, I mean, expecting Tala in September, still meant to be expecting a Slipknot album this year, but I think this has now become my most anticipated album of the year.
Big
jumping
statement.
ahead of that, so.
Yeah, and you, on top of all of that, you got Will Putney producing, who is
Just doesn't miss.
the best modern heavy music producer.
Yeah.
Without any question. So, yeah, September 9th, Euthanasia. Cannot wait. Peek behind the curtain, we just stopped recording for a pizza break.
It was lovely.
And now Alex's belly will not rumble anymore.
Huzzah.
Satisfied. Right,
Should we do the next review?
let's
Yes.
go.
Next up, we've got Suicide Silence with Thinking in Tongues.
This was an interesting one because I came at this from a perspective of probably being the biggest fan, but also from being like, seeing how much deathcore has evolved in the last 2 years specifically. It was like nice to hear a song that I'm like, yeah, cool, that's Suicide Silence. That's the sound that I know and that I usually like. But it felt like it was still stale because of how much deathcore's progressed with bands like Lorna Shore, Slaughter to Prevail, Dying Wish, Fit for an Autopsy. All these bands releasing so much like higher quality and I guess slightly more diverse deathcore that I was like, yeah, cool, great riffs. Eddie sounds good. Some nice drum parts. It's wonderfully heavy. But apart from that, it didn't actually really do a lot for me.
Yeah, I think my interpretation was that it was just sort of more of an old school sound. So I think I wasn't too... I don't want to say that you were hating on it, but I wasn't too as negative, I don't think. I think I just quite enjoyed it. I think my problem with Suicide Silence is they've been so inconsistent since the start of the Eddie era that a song like this, which has got very nice riffs, it's quite a pretty... Not, I don't want to say by the numbers as an insult, but it's a pretty strong
Standard
Suicide
song,
Silence
yeah.
song. But because they've been so inconsistent and probably lost a few fans from some of the less good music they've put out, it's probably just going to end up going under the radar, I think. And ultimately, it's just ends up just being there
It exists.
without doing anything profound. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Which I think overall is a shame because they're still a cool band, but I think they've just sort of lost their shine.
I thought it was just fine.
Mm.
Like there's a nice breakdown. I liked the way the kick drum mirrored the riff, but it just didn't do much to hook me in. Really, I've not listened to that much Suicide Silence, so I can't really speak on the way they've progressed and how this differs to much of their older stuff. But I thought it was just okay.
Very kind of general consensus there, I
Yeah.
guess, then, isn't it? It's like sounds like them.
Sounds like them.
It's a song by Suicide Silence.
Philadelphia hardcore band Varials have marked the start of a new era with The Cycle of Violence Chapter 1. This is the first release to showcase Mitch as the new vocalist as he moved to the frontman position from guitar after Travis left back in 2020. And I think it's thunderous.
Oh, that's a good word to describe it.
I've been a Varials fan for a while and I've been watching as many live videos as possible to hear what Mitch sounds like. So it's been really good to actually now have it on a recording. And I think he sounds great. I think people were really in love with how Travis sounded. But I think this is a really, really strong replacement. I think he sounds really good. What did you guys think of it?
I really liked it. I think the production for me sets it apart, especially with the drums that thump throughout the whole song. There's like an ambient noise in the background that adds to the atmosphere of the song as well. And then the same goes for the clean vocals in the chorus. There's an effect on them making them sound kind of ghostly and creepy, which I thought was really cool. And then the slowdown for the breakdown is just chef's kiss.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think I'd ever listened to Varials before this, and I just really, really enjoyed it. The instrumentals had like some really subtly nice moments. I don't think jump out massively, but allow for the song to like really properly flow, groove, and also still just be heavy as fuck and make you want to headbang. And the vocals were just so strong at like the center of the mix. I think they just had such a nice tone in like the heaviness, but also such clarity. Like I'm hearing the words that are being said.
Yeah.
And absolutely loving it, and it just really pulled me into the song even more. And yeah, I saw so much hype about this in particular on Twitter as well. I was like, cool, okay, I'm looking forward to listening to this, and now I'm seeing why there was that much hype. It was very deserved, and I feel like I'm gonna have to get some recommendations from you, Alex, and maybe a little playlist made, because I feel like I need to check out some more Varials now.
That can easily be arranged. I also really liked the production on the vocals as well, especially that I'm gonna have to do it. It's gonna sound weird.
Go for it.
the like part after the
Sorry, which part?
that had like so many layers to it and that echo on it, and it was I thought it sounded really cool. I like also that so they've said that the song is about taking someone's life out of pure revenge and how that lust for revenge can create a cycle of violence.
Relatable.
And I think that's I think it's interesting because when it came out, I didn't listen to it.
That's tickled you, hasn't it?
That's
James?
got me up.
We can all relate to that. When it first came out, before we put it in our review playlist, I was listening to it just as the single on its own on Spotify. And because it was looping, it's sort of, I like when, I don't know, it was a really easy song to listen on a loop. And I thought it was interesting because it sort of mirrors the fact that the song is about being stuck in a cycle. And every time it finished and it started again, I was just like, I don't want to turn this off. I think I listened to it about 6 or 7 times in a row, like when it first dropped. So
Constant loop.
So what you're saying is Spotify gave it some more artistic integrity with
well, I don't know. I guess
by
it's
playing on a loop.
maybe just the way that I don't know. I think bands are probably just smartening up a bit now to using streaming services to their advantage.
Maybe.
I don't want to give Spotify any credit.
True.
Let's not do that.
No.
But our podcast is available to listen to on Spotify.
Yeah.
Please go follow.
Yeah. I'm just very excited for their next album now.
My Chemical Romance came back with The Foundations of Decay after a very, very long time away. I'm quite neutral to this. I was never a massive My Chemical Romance fan. They've had some good tunes, but I don't think it ever appealed enough for me to make the effort just to listen to them and really enjoy it. So I think a lot of the hype that came out around when this was released went right over my head. And like as a song, like I said, it doesn't do too much. Musically, there's some nice moments. Vocally, that really didn't, nothing for me and felt kind of, I guess, disappointing in general from what I was expecting. And I've spoken to a few other people who've kind of experienced the same kind of slight disappointment, I guess. But that's just me kind of not being much of a fan. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I was never that much of a My Chemical Romance fan as well, but I think this is a really cool song. I'm relieved as well that they're not just back as part of like a marketing campaign or to make money. It seems they actually have some proper like cohesive art to share. It's a bit of a ballad at 6 minutes long, but I think it's great. There's something, for me at least, that keeps me entertained and wanting to continue listening all the way through. A little bit of a breakdown in there as well, which is a bit cheeky. And although a lot of people online I've read don't like the mix, in particular the vocals, I think it's fine.
I thought the mix was a bit odd. I couldn't really pinpoint what about the mix I didn't like. I just thought it didn't sound. I don't know. I just don't think it benefited the song sounding the way that it did. I think I'm probably about as ambivalent as you can get about this. I got no feelings one way or the other. So I don't know. The 6 minutes managed to pass both slowly and quickly.
Both at the same time.
I do have to respect the sort of. They could have come back with a 3-minute sort of radio-driven song, but to come back with a 6-minute sort of meandering, not all over the place in that it's a mess, but sort of song that goes everywhere from like the quiet of quiet to the screams.
I know they didn't really need to do any promo for it as well, but to just drop it as well, just on a random day without any kind of teasing as well.
Yeah, just on a random Tuesday. I don't know if it was Tuesday. But you know, the emos are happy, so
that's the main thing.
Yeah, it's nice to see people.
I'm
happy
liking
about
seeing people being excited, going to see them live, excited about the new song.
That is nice to see.
It's nice to
fair,
see.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm quite a profound hater, so it's quite nice to see people just having their fun. So, fair play.
Moving on, Lorna Shore released Sun Eater.
I think I was a bit underwhelmed, you know. I really enjoyed the EP last year. I thought it was a great sort of defiant statement with Will being their new vocalist. And I think this one just doesn't reach that same peak in terms of sort of the music itself being interesting. He's an incredible vocalist. The things that he does are amazing. But I just don't think the instrumentals keep up with what he's doing. It doesn't. He can only carry it so far, I think.
There's a ceiling almost.
Yeah.
They're not up to his par.
And I think some of the instrumentals across the EP were really good. But this song in particular, I didn't feel that impressed by it.
Let's go from the start of the song. That grand orchestral kind of intro, almost to me sounded like something out of Lord of the Rings, like the Lord of the Rings score or The Hobbit or something, which is quite fitting because it sounds like Gollum's got hold of the mic at times. All jokes aside, the vocals are nuts, and I absolutely love the slap of that snare drum during some of the breakdowns. Nice little solo in there as well, but again, it kind of feels like Will's carrying the song, like you've already mentioned, and everyone else is kind of just there going, oh, we'll do a little breakdown here. We'll do
blast here.
Yeah, little blast beat here, something else here. I will do. And the way the orchestral part kind of faded in and out as well, it was like the song was split into sections, and it just seemed to slow it down quite a lot, I felt.
I think with some of that orchestral stuff, it started going slightly more like black metal-y for me as well, and kind of gave me those vibes, which that just, I guess, in the nicest way to you, Alex, because I know you like it. It just put me off. And I completely agree. The things that he can do with his voice are absolutely insane and mad, but it almost felt to me slightly gimmicky in this song, and that it took away from it, and I couldn't actually take it that seriously in a way. And like the instrumentals, solid, some nice like riff moments, but again, like from like a drumming perspective, it felt just like fast and unrelenting with blast beats all the time, like not as much diversity in the instrumental that would actually kind of draw me in, even as a drum like perspective, and get me in at that. So I was like, yeah, I can see where you're very whelmed by it. It again kind of happened. It didn't really blow me away. I much preferred the EP. So yeah, I guess slightly disappointed.
Oh well. Should we move on to some albums now? Or I guess an EP to start.
Kind of an EP to start. One that I haven't stopped banging on about. It's Profound Morality by Heriot.
You described this, I think, Dan, on our Instagram story when it first came out as a stonker of an album.
I did. You're correct.
Very apt. I thought that was a perfect description of it. The thing that stood out to me the most was how impressive the sort of atmosphere and like world building was. I think a lot of bands can sort of miss the mark in trying to do that. I think there are only a few albums in recent memory that have done it well. Underneath by Code Orange, both of Vane FM's albums, and then Not Loose is Tearing the Fabric of Life EP. And I think I would add this Heriot release to that list of like perfectly creating a singular sound and then exploring that sort of fully within the album as it runs. It felt like I felt quite transported. Like at times it was like being dragged through hell, like by chains, and then at times it was like a peek into the future of like a bleak, like cold world. I don't know. I felt quite.
That's some great imagery. I like that.
I think I felt quite just evoked like a lot of mental images for me.
Yeah,
Listening
I know
to
exactly
it.
what you mean though, because there's like a really nice balance of kind of the chaotic heaviness that you expect from a band like this, and then there's like the quieter, floaty moments as well that, like you said, building that world, creating that imagery as well.
And I think sort of when looking at some of the artwork as well, they've sort of intentionally left a lot of it very vague
Orange.
and orange. Yeah.
True.
But it's all very vague and very like nothing's clear, and you can't really make anything out.
Open to interpretation.
Yeah, I think that sort of adds to this whole like you can listen to this and you can take your own thing from it.
Yeah.
Sort of interpret it however you want.
This is one that, from my first listen to it, kind of had initial response, and it's actually grown on me since then. There is such a strong and heavy wall of sound, I think, throughout the whole thing. Instrumentally, like, very well done, but still unrelenting in that, and it's very aggressive. I thought the vocals are a bit too low in the mix for me. I would have enjoyed them a little bit louder.
That's fine.
I think that adds to the world building.
I can see how it does, but I guess
It's like they're not at the front. It's like they're a ghost, just kind of
as that though. But then, like from coming like a musically analytical, I guess, point from that, I don't know. For what appeals to me, that draws me in, is I'll have like that kind of like strong vocal bit front and center. That would be like, okay, that's kind of like sometimes a do or die on a band. You can have some very standard instrumentals, but if the vocals don't pull you in, that's all it's going to be, standard. Carmine Fills the Hollow had me picturing myself in a circle pit right from when it started. And for those like 1 minute and 40 odd seconds, I literally had the image of just me in a circle pit the whole time, which is just quite a fun image.
So Alex builds up the image of like a desolate post-apocalyptic wasteland.
And then me in a circle
pit.
Yeah, fuck it. Love that.
See, open to interpretation.
Yeah, exactly.
The duality of man.
I felt at times like the songs were so short I couldn't fully get into them. I think like it just left me wanting more, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because I enjoyed what I heard, but it just felt like sometimes it wasn't enough. And like I'm wanting more out of it. It just felt like a bit preemptive, like being just cut off. I was like, fuck, okay, I'm starting to like maybe a minute or so, minute 20 get into the song, and then 20 seconds later it's finishing. So that made it a little bit jittery for me in terms of trying to get into it more.
But I think that might be a good thing, because then with the songs being short and the overall length being short, you come away thinking, oh god, I can't wait for them to release more. I think it is a very
I don't think that it was done deliberately.
No.
But I think it works quite well.
It's like leaving you wanting more, definitely.
It's a nice little showcase of like, hey, this is what we can do.
Mm.
Follow us, come see us at Download.
Yeah,
come
exactly.
See us at Trees, all these gigs we're playing.
I think a little bit underwhelmed from that in terms of wanting that little bit more, but I can still like hear so much potential and what they could become, and them only being so like young as a band and just breaking through. They are definitely people to watch out for.
I think one of the things, it lends itself really well to like the album format. I don't think it'd have the same kind of magic if you just listen to one song on its own in a playlist. I think
no, that's true.
It works best start to finish, the whole collection of songs together, because you'll have like it starts off with a baden, which is kind of basically just setting the atmosphere and getting you ready for Coalescence, which follows you and hits in with pace and power, and then the next song will kind of chill out a bit again. So yeah, I think it lends itself well to be one cohesive thing.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the use of like, I think if you took out all the sort of interlude songs, I don't think it would feel as cohesive and as sort of thorough.
Yeah,
a little bit like then. My immediate thought is that Static Dress EP. where
I
can't remember what
guess,
it was called.
yeah,
Where
yeah.
for
very
me
long.
particularly,
To a lesser extent, but I know I know
that
what you mean.
that
yeah.
was one that you kind of had those songs peppered in there, and like almost like the interlude, you kind of like pull through sections from song to song. Took me out of that a bit too much. This one was better
Yeah.
at kind of keeping you involved and in like the same mind frame, and make it an easier transition to listen to the
I
whole
think the
thing as a
struggle
whole.
with the Static Dress one was that it was very story driven, whereas the interludes here are a bit more sort of thematic, like atmosphere, like tension building, which is why I think they give more, whereas the Static Dress ones probably take away from the experience of the songs, in my opinion.
A must see at festivals this summer. Then you reckon?
I
definitely
think
really
so.
want to,
Yes.
I think they're going to put on a great performance, and this is the start of something very good for them. And who knows, we may see them get an award at the Heavy Music Awards, which we'll be going to again this year.
Here, here.
Thank you.
We move on to a new album from Upon a Burning Body, Fury. I think you sort of get the gist of it after a few songs, but I still think they are, in a way, are still a really underrated band. And I think they do things throughout this album that are really cool that a lot of other bands aren't able to replicate, especially the tone of Danny's screams and the way that Ruben just like rips through a solo.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're able to blend guitar solos into metalcore in a way that I don't think it's really been done in quite a long time, since like bands like Killswitch Engage have been able to do
My
it.
immediate thought was an Ocean Between Us.
Yeah,
Like hearing some of the solos that Nick had on that.
it's a bit front loaded. I think the first half of the album was a lot better than the latter half. But you know, if we ever see them live, there'll be one or two from this album that I'd really love to hear.
There's definitely a few bangers in here as well. Snake Eyes I love, and I loved that when it first came out as well. Clarity's awesome. Meltdown reminds me of that most recent Polaris album.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that. And that bit in Shapeshifter, the block out the light from the moon bit, was just really cool, I thought.
I think, yeah, it's like you said, it's not their best release. However, you've got some tunes in there. It still feels like they're kind of, there's a bit of evolution from the old music. You're hearing like Danny's like cleans getting better, and you're hearing like more progression in that, which is really nice. And like you said, some of his guitar solos are so nice. I still think like A New Responsibility is a great way to kick off the album. I loved it as a single, and I love it on here. And I thought Code of Honor and Humbling My Skin to end it were like a nice surprise. Latter half, it did kind of like tail off a bit, and I thought this was a nice like 2-song bit to end off the album, a little bit stronger. Solid tracks, and I just found it a very, very enjoyable listen. And it just kind of reiterated in my head how much I want to see this band again. I saw them on the Red, White is Green tour, which was quite a while ago now.
Supporting.
Death Punch, wonderful gig. I will stand by that. Wouldn't really go and see them now. A little bit different. However, I would love to see Upon a Burning Body again. I think it'd be very fun and a good experience.
I'd love to see Upon a Burning Body live.
Do you know who we have seen live before though? State Champs. And they came out with Kings of the New Age, a new album. What do you think?
It's just exactly what you'd expect from a State Champs, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
They never really do anything mad. It's just good, solid pop punk. I have to say that Ben Barlow feature's grown on me now.
It's grown on me as well.
Yeah. I think if I didn't look at it as Ben Barlow, I enjoy it more.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I think when it first came out, there was just such a like. You think about the golden eras of both of those bands. Not that they're both necessarily on decline, because I think this is a really great State Champs album. But in terms of when pop punk was at its absolute peak, sort of 2016 to 2018, would have been such a great time for a feature.
Yeah.
But you got to take what you can get. But I think the vibes on this album are just immaculate. I listened to it when it was really, really sunny for about 3 days in the UK.
They've released it around the perfect time,
Yeah.
haven't they?
And I was just walking in the sun and I just thought, there's not a single bad thought in my head. I'm just happy.
That's the thing, it's like, it just gave me the vibes immediately. I know they're not there this year, but obviously we saw them at Slam Dunk last year, and I'm just thinking about sitting in a field, having a cider with my mates, chilling, listening to pop punk, sun beaming down, and making me look forward to Slam Dunk even more than I already am. I think the singles like really do stand out very strongly still, like just standing out in my head in particular. I think maybe it's just because we've heard them before, but because they have such a good catchiness to them, when they kind of came on throughout as the album like progressed, I was like, oh, cool, familiar tune and just jamming along, and it's just such an easy listening. It's chilled. They have some weirdly deceptive, like little nice riffs that you don't always expect as well, and some lovely like beautiful tom sections you get in pop punk, catchy lyric lines. They just kind of don't really miss on what just seems like a consistent album from start to finish.
I feel like as well with the title being Kings of the New Age and starting with the song Here to Stay, I feel like with a lot of bands that have moved away from pop punk, this feels like a really strong way of them saying this is what we do and this is what we're proud of doing, and we're going to do it better than anyone else this year. And
We're
I think
still here.
I think they have. I think what another thing I really liked about the album was the features were really well placed throughout the album, but also felt appropriate to the song. We talked about the Ben Barlow one, but Chrissy from I think it's Against the Current. I thought her feature was great, and I loved the 4 Year Strong feature as well on Sundress.
See, at first I was disappointed with the 4 Year Strong feature, but it's only because I was expecting like a 4 Year Strong breakdown.
Yeah.
But after getting over that, it was great.
Yeah, I think it's the same with the Ben Barlow one. Is like when I think of Ben Barlow, I still think of like the grit in his voice from the early days.
And it was a bit whiny.
Yeah,
but because that's kind of what New Neck Deep sounds like anyway, I've accepted
adjusted
it now.
to it. Yeah. And I think I just forget how good they are at writing hooks. I think the thing that's made this album so repeatable for me is that a new song or a new chorus is standing out each time. And I think I'll say that Out of My Head might be a contender for my all-time favourite State Champ song.
Definitely up there.
And they got some bangers as well.
To be honest, like I'm looking at the track list from the album, and if I just read them one by one, I can hear each chorus in my head.
Yeah.
Like whether they're a single or not, every single song of those I'm hooked into, and I've got them in my head, which I think is a great success.
How many bands could you say you could do that for?
Not many, I don't think.
Exactly.
That's the other thing. I don't listen to State Champs that often, like on record.
Yeah, but when I do...
But whenever we see them live, I know every single word, and I have the best time. Or like if we're out somewhere, like when we go to these festivals this summer, State Champ's going to be on that playlist in the campsite.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
Definitely.
I think that was most on show when we saw them at Slam Dunk last year. I was like singing along to songs that I didn't even realise I had learnt the lyrics for, and I was just like, how am I just doing this? I think...
Well, they played... Was it Out of My Head was
Yeah.
new at the time? They'd
Yeah.
released it like the day before Slam Dunk. We hadn't really listened to it, but we were singing along by the last chorus.
Great band.
And they've got such a great way of they will convert people into listening to them as well, because like I've been in the car with Ruben and we've been listening to it driving around, like going from gym, and then that comes on, and it's like people who don't listen to them just kind of get drawn to them, and they have such a great kind of way about doing that. And again, that's something that's so difficult for bands to be able to do. It's special.
Wow. Well, there we go. An absolutely lovely month. But what's coming up, James?
On June 3rd, we've got 3 albums. We've got Bleed From Within with Shrine, Memphis May Fire with Remade in Misery, and Red Handed Denial with I'd Rather Be Asleep. The following week, in June 10th, we've got Dragged Under with Upright Animals, and Motionless in White with Scoring the End of the World. Which ones are you most looking forward to?
Dragged Under.
Oh, I'm a sucker for a bit of theatrics, so I'm going to say the Motionless in White album, because they were a really sick band and I've not listened to them in a while. And there's a Brian Garris feature on that album.
I think I'm going to go with the Red Handed Denial one. I remember listening to their first album. I think it was off the back of seeing that Lauren was doing stuff with Jared and we had Crazy 88. So I thought, let me go and check them out. And sick album. So intrigued to see how that goes.
Shall we have a dive into our comments from the last month?
Let's dive.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Woo!
Look at that waveform peak on the woos.
We had quite a few comments on our video about Download Festival and what was wrong with it, titled The Problem with Download Festival. Amaretto Lemonade, delicious, has said that they're really sad that Disturbed and System of a Down aren't going this year. They're excited to see them, and also that a lot of bands have pulled out. Looking at the lineups from years previous, they're amazing for earlier festivals, probably because those bands weren't quite as big. I'm going in with the mindset this year that bands that are further down the lineup this year may be the same in a few years. I think they mean that the bands
they'll be moving up.
that will move up the lineup.
I mean, I second that first part as well. I was so ready and looking forward to System of a Down, Disturbed two bands that I kind of grew up on quite a bit on that I've never had a chance to see. And who wouldn't love to go and see Chop Suey live? Like, it'd be so much fun. But yeah, sadness on that.
Yeah, it's been a bit shit with like festivals being cancelled because of the events of the last few years and whatnot, and bands having to drop out here, there, and everywhere. That you'd hope that potentially next year those bands would be rebooked to sort of fulfill the obligation to the fans that I guess we're looking forward to see them.
You'd hope so.
But yeah, I agree about a lot of the lower down bands hopefully moving up. Or like bands from previous years, for example, we saw Trivium. No, we didn't see Trivium. James saw Trivium in 2019.
I did.
And I would really like to see them return to an even higher position.
And they drew quite the crowd for that as well. And there was a very, very good response from them. And again, since then, they've released 2 banging albums. So why not?
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's important, if there's perhaps bands on earlier in the day that you haven't got any bands on that you want to see, go and check something out. Go and discover something new. They might be higher up in the lineup in years to come.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
you can brag about it and be like, hey, I saw them on the little stage, on the Dogtooth stage.
Yeah. I mean, as you'll hear in our upcoming download preview, little mini podcast episode, there are so many great bands lower down the bill. And I think it's actually refreshing to be able to say that Download is championing up and coming music, especially in the British scene, because there are bands down there like Heriot, who were one of the first bands of the whole festival. Hopefully, in a few years' time, could be, high up second stage or headlining Avatar. Yeah, you never know. So, yeah, I second that. You've just got to go and see those bands early on because it'll be worth your time.
Sticking with the same video, we've got Matt here saying, I've been going since 2011, and for me, this year is the most uninspired lineup I've ever seen. I'd love to see fresh bands like Bring Me the Horizon headlining, or bands like My Chemical Romance, who would get a great reception now compared to 2007.
I can see that because it's always going to be dependent on who you listen to a lot. I think there's definitely bands that as soon as I saw Download lineup being released, I'm like, cool, I want to see them. So for me, it's like, okay, I've got the excitement there on who I want to see, but then I still get that kind of counterpoint. And that's the whole kind of part of the video of we need a new breed to come through. We need different headliners that aren't stale, that again draw the crowd still, but that you've not seen there before, to make people want to go there and visit there, because it's such a great festival, and why not have as many people go as possible?
Yeah, I don't want to say too much about speculating on future headliners because I think we might talk about that in the next episode for our discussion, but I think Biffy is a really great choice for a headline. I think people look at main stage. I don't mean this as a dig at the guy that left the comment, but I think people will form a lot of their opinion on what main stage looks like. And as we've said, a lot of the best parts of this lineup is Avalanche and Dogtooth.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In terms of our tastes. And I think main stage does perfectly cater to the typical Download goer. I think this year's a pretty good lineup.
Yeah, I agree.
You've got Kiss playing potentially their last ever UK show because they're on their 5th last ever tour. Maiden are, I know this is going to be their 5th time headlining, but they are a big draw. And Biffy are there to offer something completely different. So, sorry, I don't mean to argue with the comment, but I think it is a good year for Download.
And then we've got one final comment on our Muse video.
Oh, yeah.
Did Muse rip off Bring Me the Horizon and Sleep Token?
Yes.
Renault has said, in quotation marks, Matt Bellamy is suck. He got money, you got nothing. What do you have to say to that, guys? There's no coming back from that, is there?
No. Look, fair play to Muse. If I could make a career off being mediocre, I'd do it. If I
love that we're doubling down on the
if I could be a less imaginative, boring version of Tool, who are already boring, and milk that for stadium shows, I'd absolutely do it. So fair play to Muse. We do in fact suck.
Matt Bellamy, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah. What would be your perfect gig?
Architects, Sleep Token, Malevolence at Alexandra Palace. What a gig.
It goes without saying, really, doesn't it? You don't have a band like Architects, or a band like all 3 of those bands, playing a venue like Ali Pali and have a bad time.
It was a lovely day out. Just kind of taking them out to the beginning. Please go check out our vlog if you haven't seen it by any chance. It is probably one of the best things I think we're we're proudest of putting out. Just a great day, a great group of people. Some people we rarely have gone to gigs with. Some people it was their first gig as well, and it was just a nice group. Everyone there, you will end up seeing our Download Festival vlog as well. Great time.
All of the festival vlogs.
All the festival vlogs, yeah. But the gig, it was just incredible. Starting from Malevolence, it was nice to see so many people there. I think for a support band, especially at the first band on the bill, like they're not small, but you don't always see that. And it was just having that bigger crowd, seeing like the videos even still online of the circle pits.
The size of that circle pit, man.
It was unreal.
It's absolutely crazy. So they really fully converted me into a fan, and I need to listen to more.
Well, it was great that for a venue of that size, the room was as full as it was, because
it's a big place.
It's a big problem with like large venues. I mean, more so I guess arenas, but like we completely missed Nova Twins when we saw Bring Me because we just physically could not get in because the queues were so long. And
we
so
missed Behemoth when we went to
we
Slipknot
missed
as
Behemoth
well because queues getting in.
well, and we were drinking in a spoons beforehand.
True.
Yeah, Malevolence.
Priorities.
I think for a band as heavy as Malevolence to be in that room and having that sort of crowd reaction is just so deserved for them because they've been putting in so much work. I saw them in Oxford just before Christmas and they were incredible. And they've now been promoted to, I think, headlining the Sophia Lancaster stage at Bloodstock, replacing Hatebreed,
Nice.
which is a massive slot, and yeah, they deserve it.
Fair play to them.
So, yeah, Malevolence were fucking sick, and then Sleep Token.
Ritual number 3.
Yes.
Yep, third one for us.
I mean, yeah, what can be said that we've not probably already said before? There's just a hold over the audience that they have when they come on stage. It's
so different.
It's nothing like I've really ever experienced before because, and it's not to discredit Architects because their set was amazing, but there's just this captivation that when Sleep Token perform from, I think it is the sort of combination of the lore and the way they present themselves, but also the way that they all move on stage is so...
Bass player was on point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His presence was
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Their presence and their connection to what they're playing in the moment is unmatched, I think. Yeah, what did you guys think?
I think it was incredible. I knew straight away how much I wanted to pit for Architects, so there's part of me that was like, let me be a bit more reserved for Sleep Token. But then, like, I think song 2 was Hypnosis, and I was like, fuck this shit, I'm going in the pit. And so I just bailed, I think, on all of you guys and went and pitted for that. And then, like normal, the offering started, and I was gone, as were a few others. But, like, it's just, again, the crowds that they're starting to, like, bring and draw in, the attention they're getting, for still only just putting out their second album, is something pretty magnificent, to be fair. Just phenomenal. I can't say enough good shit about it, really.
I don't think I have much to add there. The only thing I didn't like so much isn't Sleep Token's fault at all. And I've realised the times I've been to Ali Pali, it's been like in the dead of winter because I've always resented like the long walk to the station, how fucking cold and wet it is and horrible and miserable. Not inside the venue, outside the venue. But I've realised why, and it's because it's so bright in there.
Yeah, they need
They're
some
a nice
They've got a
fucking
massive
blackout
skylight,
curtains,
and
yeah.
I feel like we couldn't fully appreciate the production for the support bands because it was still so light in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt almost like being a festival
Yeah.
stage in a way because yeah. But yeah, they need some blackout curtains.
But the light had faded in time for Architects to begin their set.
Their production, to start off with that, kind of leading into it, was incredible. Some of the lighting was fantastic. The screen behind them.
I love when there are like visuals
Oh, it was so
queued up
fucking
to the
good.
song on a big screen.
Like the kind of ramps they were on as well, and like every now and again, Sam would disappear off like kind of behind the drum kit, and
Yeah,
it was up
and
on the
appear at the
central
back.
bit. It's like, oh, that's sick. So it's like the coolest thing, 'cause the amount of times that we've all seen them now is like you see the production just increase and increase to like a bigger and bigger scale, and the things they're able to do in these big arenas now. And
I would have liked some confetti cannons.
yeah, that has been a good one in the past. That I've loved.
A good well-timed confetti cannon with a riff starting is very good.
Especially like on an encore at that point.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
I remember
like
them
a
doing it.
proper-
I remember them doing it with Doomsday before,
Mm.
and it was just really cool.
I remember
There's
doing
confetti
that
everywhere.
at All Points East with I think Modern Misery as soon as like right from the start as well, and it was like that was strong from the get go. But like an 18 song set list. I think it was in the end of it.
Yeah.
Was just unrelenting, non-stop. I was severely dehydrated by the end of that.
I will say this: any negative thing people have to say about the new album is washed away when you hear it live.
Yeah,
So much better live.
What was your? Because obviously I'd seen them before in Oxford, seeing some of the new songs. What was your response to them? What stood out? What hit that you didn't expect?
I was surprised by Little Wonder.
Yep.
Like, that had a lot more energy and oomph live than I think it did on a recording.
Yeah, I think some songs that sort of slip out of my mind when I choose to listen to Architects slaps live, like Giving Blood, I thought was amazing. And I wouldn't normally go to that song first if I'm putting Architects on.
Me, after watching that in October, completely changed my opinion on that song in particular, and now it's become one of my favourites on that album because of it. Just because I've seen that live.
Yeah, I don't know, all of them. It was all great.
We love Architects. They killed it.
Yeah.
And it was Alex's first time at Alexander Palace. What do
Beautiful.
you think? There's a nice shot of you in the vlog as we walk in of going, wow, this is fucking insane, or something along those lines.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever experienced a venue like that where the floor feels like an arena floor, but it just goes on and on and on, and there's no big seats all around you. It was just bizarre, but it was beautiful, and it perfectly suited the sort of grand nature of the new music that Architects have put out on the latest album. So yeah, it all seemed to just align perfectly. And I get to go back there for the snooker in January.
Shall we speak now as if we're having him on the podcast? I'm bringing you in as a guest.
Let's welcome on Jonathan Frakes.
Thank you very much for coming.
All right.
Much appreciated. You got some questions for us?
In the interest of full disclosure, we've got a busy few months coming up. And we saw that meme of the guy asking loads of random questions, and we thought, what if we just answered them? So that's what we're doing. So here we go.
Have you ever walked out of a mall into a huge parking area and realized you'd forgotten where you parked your car?
Well, I'm the only driver of the three of us. But yeah, all the time.
But
Basically anywhere I go.
I've been with people and been like, where the fuck do we park? And completely just not realised and trying to remember that. But
Yeah.
This is an important one. To tie this into music. This is an important one for Download Festival because it's a really big car park. So you've got to try and pick out a landmark of roughly where you parked if you want to go back and visit the car again.
There's a tree 500 yards
Yeah.
dead in front of us.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't know. I feel like too old to answer this question, to be honest.
I'm not going to grow up.
Never going to grow up.
What's the right tip?
Well, it's meant to be 10%.
10%.
Meant to be 10%. But to be honest, working hospitality as well, anything is much appreciated because most of the time people don't do that.
Don't eat yellow snow.
Oh, different kind of tip.
Called a plumber to your home lately?
No.
We need to, though.
Yeah.
We need to get our sink fixed and also our shower.
And also shower.
Can you believe we don't have a working shower? We have to bath.
You're still washing your hands in the bath?
Yep. Wash your hands in the bath.
Hang on, so why did the sink break though?
Because I dropped a toothbrush holder into the sink and it chipped it. And it's
Not just chipped, it's got a massive crack
it's
right
cracked.
in the
It's
middle.
absolutely cracked, and it was my fault.
Yeah, good job.
How superstitious are you?
Okay, I never was, but then being with one person who was like, you should never step on like 3 drains.
Or yellow snow.
Or yellow snow. But you should never step on 3 drains. And now that's something I consciously don't do because it's meant to be a superstitious thing, but I don't believe in the superstition. It's just, I don't know, a weird dynamic kind of thing.
I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. I can't even remember what that's from.
No.
A little bit. I don't like to push fate, but if I walk over 3 drains, it happens. You know, I'm
Live with the
human.
consequences.
I'm not aware of any superstitions that I do. It's one of those things that
Like walking under
I
scaffolding. Probably one I do the most.
Probably do stuff, but
Oh.
not realise.
Yeah.
I'm not fussed with that.
Or
There's one outside Nat Western Town at the minute. Walk under that. all
my
the time.
girlfriend mentioned one about saluting a magpie the other day, and I thought I couldn't even tell you what a
I've heard
magpie
something like
looks
that.
like, let alone that I have to salute one.
I've heard that before.
So now I'm just saluting every bird I see.
What kind of salute are you giving them?
Pigeons are getting a 2-finger salute. Pricks.
How much money would it take to make you spend a night in a cemetery?
Minimal.
What?
I
50
mean,
quid?
in terms of cemeteries aren't that scary,
No.
but
I've discussed
it's still inconvenient, isn't it, to have to just go there? And
I've discussed the idea with some friends about doing a ghost hunt. So, that doesn't bother me. If I'm doing that, I'm doing that.
So what, like £10 an hour
Yeah,
from sunset to sunrise?
Yeah, that's cool. I can do £10 now. I don't believe in ghosts or anything. So, in terms of going on a ghost hunt, I don't think anything's gonna happen. So, meh.
see, I value my time, so I'm not scared of sleeping in the cemetery.
Just the inconvenience.
It's just
of
the
it.
inconvenience of like being away from home for a night, doing something that I don't necessarily like. It's not something I'd choose to do with my spare time.
But you're doing some money out of it potentially.
Potentially, but I don't know what
What's
value
it-
I'd put on it.
I'd say like 500 for it's proper night's work,
That's
isn't it?
probably
Because you're
right.
probably not going to get much sleep, are you?
Nah.
No.
Which means
I mean,
essentially
I
I'm
might-
being paid to
you
do my 10,000 steps around a cemetery. Because I'll just be wandering around all night.
That's one way to get arrested.
What are you doing? Excuse me, what are you doing it? Oh no, they're paying me. It's all right.
Would you display this as a trophy?
And it's deer antlers.
No, because I don't like hunting, and I think it's shit.
Also, I'd also say no.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Also, like the space, it takes quite a
Yeah,
bit of space.
I'd rather put up a lovely flag,
Yeah, I'd rather put up like a band flag or
some shit like that.
a shelf.
Some nice photos.
Nothing on the shelf.
Just the shelf.
Hammer something into the wall.
And then,
Here's
and
my
then a frame
trophy.
around the shelf.
Yeah. An empty frame.
Yeah.
Do you have a sweet tooth?
Yes,
You're a donut man, aren't you?
I do love my donuts.
You can see evidence of this in pretty much all of our vlogs. Probably.
Yeah, I will try as soon as we get into like a town, a city, whatever. The donut hunt is on priority
I'm
one.
looking forward to when we go to Manchester for the first time for Outbreak and
Oh god, yeah.
a new donut hunt.
A new donut hunt shall begin. I might have to take some I might get a few 12 packs Krispy Kremes ready for download or something.
Oh, it's just so.
They'll go stale, surely.
Oh, they'll get eaten probably on day one.
Co-op will sell donuts. There's a co-op on site. There'll be a donut van on site.
Oh, okay, that's good. Oh, donut reviews. Yeah.
Okay, let's move away from the donut.
I also have a sweet tooth.
Do you believe in the power of a curse?
No,
I'd like to. It's quite a cool concept.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if it was a real thing, that'd be quite fun. But
Yeah.
Like I like the kind of what they're called Native American curses,
Mm.
where you like do something on like if you do something on sacred land
Oh,
that they
okay,
don't
yeah,
like,
yeah.
then there's like curses. I think Wendigo is one of those. If you've heard of them, like I think the story is if you do something like resort to cannibalism on sacred land, then you turn into like this Wendigo, which is like a zombie kind of thing.
oh fuck.
Quite creepy story.
It popped into my head as soon as you started that story that this is a music podcast. Okay.
Yeah, we're doing horror stuff now.
Yeah, nice.
If you've
I
played
actually love
if you've
that.
played the game Until Dawn, you'll be aware of the Wendigo. Or Wendigo, I don't know the pronunciation. Listen to a different podcast if you want correct information.
Have you had your hearing tested lately?
What?
Excellent.
No,
Probably should though with all the gigs we go to.
yeah, might be a good thing. I do listen to my music excessively loud,
Yeah.
but I also think I do have very good hearing because I can hear conversations from fucking ages away. People don't expect that I hear.
Just eavesdropping. Dan?
No, I haven't had a hearing test for a while. I probably should, like you mentioned. I did think I was going deaf a little while ago, but it was just that my right headphone was losing power. The speaker's not as strong as it used to be.
Excellent.
Can you remember the tallest man you've ever seen?
You know what? I think I can.
Go on.
Reading Festival, 2018, I think it was. Pendulum were playing in the Radio 1 tent. This guy just comes and stands right in front of us. He must have been like, not even exaggerating, about 6'9", 6'10". Just stands straight in. In fact, we were kind of in like a big group, so you only stood in front of one person. That was Callum, and it was just really funny.
Yep. You?
Yeah.
One comes to mind for me, but
One comes to mind, and I've just Googled what his height is. We grew up playing basketball.
Same one, yeah.
And the men's team of the club that we were in signed a former NBA player by the name of Priest Lauderdale,
Yep.
who was 7'4",
Big
and I
dude,
was
impressive.
probably like 14 or 15.
14, 15, yeah.
So he It just looked massive.
Yeah.
It was unreal.
Absolutely huge. And then like stacked as well.
Yeah.
Like he's a big guy, not just tall.
Mm.
It's like, oh, that's what an NBA player looks like.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Lovely man, though.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Do you love to go a-wandering beneath a clear blue sky?
You like a walk, don't you, Dan?
I do like a walk. I walk pretty much every day.
Yeah. Just, headphones on, have a little wander
don't mind
around.
a walk,
and it's probably one of the main
As
ways I
Alex
listen to
mentioned
music.
earlier as well, it's nice to listen to like pop punk. It's
Yeah.
like State Champs. It's good.
Mm.
Blue sky weather.
Does your computer ever seem to have a mind of its own?
Oh God, all the time. Tell me about
Bloody
it.
technology.
No, not really.
No,
You ever visited a Chinatown section in a major city?
London.
I've not been.
I have done the London one.
I think we've walked through the Birmingham one. Didn't stop
Potentially.
there.
I remember
I think,
looking
I
a
think
bit at
it's
London, but
between the station and the O2 Academy. So I think
A very
I think
brief-
we walked through there.
brief kind of wander.
Yeah.
No, I did the London one once, a long time ago, but don't really remember anything.
You noticed how many successful restaurants are theme-based these days?
Yeah, to be fair, I keep getting the one on TikToks that's like that Karen one, where it's like the,
Oh, where they abuse you.
yeah,
I
they're
love
literally
that.
like paid to like shout insults at you and like talk down to you. Like there's ones that like people being in there being like, "Oh, can I get a vegan burger?" And they're like, all of them, they'll get like the whole rest of the dining to like boo you and stuff like that. They'll swear at you openly and that kind of thing. They're paid to like properly go at you, and it's like meant to be all like this
No.
dining experience.
I haven't
It's,
seen that.
it's
We'll-
so
we'll have to
fucking
show
like
you,
full
it's
on.
really
It's-
funny.
I like a job there.
you enjoy that?
I imagine it could be like cathartic for anyone that's worked in a hospitality job that
Oh
hates it.
man, the
Them to
thoughts
just be
that
abusive to customers and be paid for it.
Have you ever had the desire to write your initials in wet cement?
I don't think I've ever like really walked past wet cement to then do that, but
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
I don't desire to, but I think if the opportunity was there, I'd probably do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
I'll
yet
take
to
it.
have the opportunity.
But I wouldn't
present
draw
itself.
my initials though. Probably be a
Cock.
A cock.
Yeah,
yeah.
come on.
We've
Excellent.
We've got some, like part of our driveway at home is cement, and there's like footprints from cats and birds and stuff in it.
Mm.
They didn't draw their initials, but they've just
They drew a
stepped
cock.
in it. Yeah. Massive cat cock on there.
Well, next month we'll return to some music-based discussions. But for now, thanks, Jonathan.
Bye.
So this month, because we want to get hyped for festivals, we want you to get hyped for festivals. So instead of our usual album recommendations, we're just going to recommend that we all listen to our playlists. We've got 4 playlists for Slam Dunk, Download Festival, Outbreak, and 2000 Trees, all on Spotify. You can kind of find them through links via our socials as well. Go give them a listen. Go start jamming along to all these tunes we've put in there and created for it. Some incredible festivals, some incredible bands to see this summer. And let us know as well in comments below if you're going to any of these festivals and who you're looking forward to seeing.
And if you're not going to any of those festivals and you're listening to this thinking, oh, I want an album to listen to this month, I recommend just listen to your favourite album.
Yeah.
Treat yourself.
What is your favourite album? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. We've come to the end of another successful episode.
We have.
I don't know where I was going with that.
We have.
Have we?
We've got a very busy summer coming up. We're going to Slam Dunk, Download, Outbreak, 2000 Trees and Truck. We'll have mini bonus podcast episodes doing a preview for each of those festivals. We'll have vlogs coming out afterwards. We have a new Spotify exclusive show called the Ragamuffin Radio where we play you a selection of some of our favourite songs that we're listening to at the moment. There's a whole lot for you to go and check out.
There'll be more video essays coming, more beginner's guides, some tied into the festivals that we've got coming up. So if you're going to them and there's bands on them that you don't know of and you want to check out, we're kind of try and cover you with that as well. Wherever you're kind of viewing this, listening to this, follow us, subscribe, all those kind of things, like the video, and stay tuned for a summer of many, many cool things.
Yes.
And if you're going to any of these festivals, please feel free to come and say hello.
Especially at Download, we're going to have a lovely big flag of the logo up and about. So if we see you, say hello. It'll be very nice. Might even share a cider or something.
And if we see you in a Muse t-shirt,
Fuck off.
consider it war.